Alright, round two here. Autodidact. Hello and good luck. Would you like to play first? No. Oof. The old five-lander, eh? If opponent keeps, I'm not gonna mulligan. You'll learn, at least I'm learning about myself. Don't seem to like to mulligan a lot these days. I feel like that's the quickest way to lose. At least I like kind of playing and getting out of it. Especially in a format like this where there's not so much punishing going on if you don't, have a bunch of early drops. Ooh, Predatory Sliver. That can get scary against the green deck who has a lot of such creatures. This might help stave off early onslaughts unless another Predatory Sliver comes down. Then it gets pretty painful. So are you mono-green Predatory Sliver deck? Autodidact? What you got for me, honey? Very well could. Yep, it's Sliver decked. Alright, here we go. This is gonna get rough. But we're just gonna keep developing our board. I will not be trading off either one of these for the Sliver construct, though that could be appropriate. But I think the Trained Condor is going to do pretty well if I can keep it alive with an enlarge in hand. Get this plus something else on board could be very good. I would do a double block against the Predatory Sliver if it attacked in, if it was a 3-3. But maybe not. I mean, my opponent's, wow, Sliver deck for sure. Okay, well I'm taking 3 here. Ooh. Well, if my opponent has a pump spell, I'm going to make my opponent use it here. I'm a-okay with that. Could just, my opponent could just be thinking, hey, free attack, that's cool. Which is fine. And it looks like that was the case. Alright. I'll attack with the Trained Condor, because that's not blocking anything anytime soon. Seacoast Drake, I'll hold back, try to hold back the, some points of damage while I draw into some more relevant spells. See how my opponent goes. Another Pump Sliver is going to be brutal, though. See if my opponent respects my Briarpack Alpha or Seacoast Drake. Nope, not at all. Okay. Let's do a block here. Take 5. Ouch. Not fun. Another card. Yeah, I just want to use up my mana. It's not exactly the best target for negate, but it took my opponent's turn away, and wow, that's just a whole lot. Interestingly, Enlarge will never be able to take out a creature because my creatures all have flying. Alright, well, not much to think about. I should be playing a little bit quicker because I'm still just going to keep bashing in, trying to fall forever behind, but I'm taking 5 a turn at this rate. And my opponent's probably happy I negated Into the Wilds, considering, red, there's got to be like a Chandra's Outrage or something, or a Pump or whatever. And that might not have been the correct move, but allowing my opponent to keep drawing incremental advantage while I'm not winning the game anytime soon is fine. If I had a more developed board, maybe this incremental advantage I wouldn't care about because I'd be able to be doing a lot more than what my opponent did with Into the Wilds. But at this point, my opponent already being ahead, I can't allow my opponent to get any of that kind of advantage online. Alright, so there goes that, which would have been nice to negate as well. Good to know it exists. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going down to 3 here. I'm going to go ahead and click through all this instead of trying to represent like a Sea Kite or Briarpack Alpha, because I don't want my opponent thinking that I actually have it. Claustrophobia does not quite get me to stay alive, so do I even chump block? No, I'm just going to hold this guy back, let my opponent think I might have something, and see if another spell is revealed. As soon as attacks go down, we're conceding. So here we go, another, yeah, so my opponent is playing active treason. So that's good to know. I assume I won't see anything else after this, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll concede there, so cool. Instead of conceding right away, I learned about active treason, which is nice. My opponent does seem to have a pretty sweet deck. Don't think I care about Naturalize after seeing that. Care much more about Negate and the removal spells than, you know, destroying the Into the Wilds that I saw. And Brindlemoor I might want, because it does trade with a lot of the 2/2, so there isn't that pump happening. Or just gain some life. But I think my other cards do that better, actually. Time Up actually pretty decent against the Trollhide deck. And Brindlemoor's not, again, not awesome. No, we're actually going to keep it exact same way. Would you like to play first? No, my opponent had some good creatures, but it wasn't, like, absolutely insane. So we're going to hang out. This, though, might just be a mulligan. All I have is a negate and no creature to go down, so yeah, I'm going to mulligan this to 6. This is better. Nice Deadly Recluse, Warden, and then eventually Archaeomancer. So no, we're not going to mulligan this bad boy. Ooh, and a Striking Sliver to curve out nicely. Deadly Recluse will probably just be trading with the first thing that my opponent lets me trade with. The first strike could be pretty difficult for me. Normally shouldn't be playing Grain, so we'll see what happens. Could just get shocked here. Nope, no shock, that's cool. I'll do it like that. Maybe we win this game in the air with the Warden. Predatory Sliver would be a bummer. Sliver Construct, not a bummer. Cool. My opponent has no play. We definitely like that. I'm going to maximize the mana with this Warden here, pass the turn. See what my opponent just might have. Now is there a shock? Was my opponent not wanting to shock the Deadly Recluse? I feel like that's a pretty good play when my opponent didn't have anything else that turn. But maybe my opponent knew that I wanted to hang out a shock for like a flyer or something. I don't know. What am I most scared of here? Barrage of Expendables? Not entirely. So made me think Naturalize could be that much better now. Stoked to have Time Ebb. Play Seco Strike. Get the Warden online. And at that game. Do I attack with Deadly Recluse? Gets a point in. I had the Seco Strike to block. Yeah, let's just get an extra point in. Let's do it. If there's a pump spell, there's a pump spell. Cool. Very nice. Active Treason kills any of my dudes. That is a bummer. That is for sure. Ooh, the Predatory Sliver. That will get bad. Definitely will get bad. Maybe the tempo game starts being played. If I do 1, 2, 3... No, I won't be able to do that and or Auramancer next turn. So I attack for 3 this turn? Well, 4. If I want to time out the Predatory Sliver. I think I just wait for more relevant time ebb opportunities, or maybe do time ebb, and then the following turn do time, get Archaeomancer and then time ebb again. But for now, I'm going to save it because I don't think it's really getting me that much extra value. Especially since my opponent will be able to just go ahead and play Predatory Sliver and another spell next turn, including like an Active Treason or something, if I were to time out the Predatory Sliver. It does take a draw step away, but I'm going to hang on to this guy. Doesn't feel right now like it's the important piece to winning this game. They just want to draw some beef. I'll take 4. Ouchie. This is where Disperse would be better. Disperse the Predatory Sliver, then eat a Striking Sliver. That would be nice, wouldn't it now? Okay, so my opponent might be a little bit stuck. Ooh, here I'm actually happy to get the Spore Mound and then a Land Blade. That will be good. Deadly Recluse, not doing a whole lot, so we'll get that extra point in. Spore Mound is a fine active treason target with that much toughness, so I do need to be aware of that. But with this much of a crackback, and my opponent not being insane, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points coming through. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ugh, does drop me down to 8. Plus with a sacrifice 9. Ooh, Battle Sliver. That gets nasty. So I'm just going to chump block Predatory Sliver, naturally. Fine with that. And then I think the time ebb might get us enough of a tempo swing. It does mean I'm taking a lot of damage next turn when that comes back down. Ooh. Would love to be able to can I afford to take 8? No, I can't, because my opponent steals 3. So attacking with both these guys, and then using Divination, right? I'll have our Chaomancer in my hand, but I only have 1 blocker, so if my opponent plays the Battle Sliver, then I'm taking 8. That means my opponent can't play Active Treason. Active Treason does 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So actually it looks like I can attack with everything. But then having that in... Unfortunately, I think this extra point of damage is going to matter, because this puts my opponent down to 7, and then I have 3 in the air for lethal the following turn, so I do need to do this. It really keeps me fairly exposed, but I think it's something I have to do. And getting that Spore online was pretty clutch, so at least there's 1 blocker now, just to chump away and save some life. And I will be able to do our Chaomancer into Time Ebb on the following turn, even if one of my flyers gets, you know, active treasoned and sacrificed. Then actually, Trollhide could win it too, yeah. So there are certainly draws that my opponent could have to kind of get here. I'm trying to think. Oh wait, I know what my opponent just drew. The Battle Sliver. But there's 4 other cards in hand, so not knowing what those were could definitely be dangerous. My opponent's thinking hard, seeing if there's a way to win this game. I wonder. Don't think there's something I can think of that there is, but I'm not exactly the best at thinking of cards. So this is the opportunity I will take to think about that. But I'll let you guys out of the agony by pausing. And of course, right as I pause, my opponent starts tapping mana. Volcanic Geyser, okay. Seemingly a great play. Staying alive a turn, but this Trollhide's just going to make dreams come true here. And so will Briarpack Alpha. I don't want to show Briarpack Alpha, but if I attack in with everything, it's only yeah, I just gotta do the Trollhide. And for 1 mana, there's nothing else, so yeah. Sorry, I'm not trying to slow roll you, opponent. I'm just being careful here. And that should do it. Yep, there we go. Alright. So now that I saw the barrage of expendables, all of my opponent's active trees, and do I care about this naturalized? Doesn't mean there's at least 2 enchantment targets, only one I care about. What am I bringing out instead? Really, it's between the negate and the naturalize. I do think negate will be good against the removal spells and the active treason in general, which helps with that barrage of expendables. I'm trying to think what's going to be more important. Ideally, I am just casting my mana all turn. I mean, I have a bunch of 3-drops and stuff, so I'm not always having negate available. Now, I think I still like negate over naturalize, because the barrage I don't care as much about, and negate cancels out the active treason or the removal spells, which is kind of what I need to be paying attention to. So I will keep the negate in. Let's see if Autoedic is choosing to play first, so we are on the draw. This has to be a mulligan, unfortunately. I hope we don't mulligan more than this. Well, I'm not going to go down to 5. It's not awesome, but I have sensory deprivation to help keep things off me, and then hopefully drawing into some lands to get a 3 and a 5-drop online. Not amazing, considering Garrick's Horde is almost like mulling to 5, but I don't want to go too much lower than this, and I do get 1 extra draw here. Alright. Oh, there's a land, so we at least have a turn 3 play. My opponent doesn't have anything. That's very... Ooh, we're getting more lands. That's super sweet. F6 now will represent Essence Scatter, even though there's not on the deck. My opponent doesn't need to know that at all. Great. So my opponent having a slow start with us drawing some great lands and having Spore Mounds later on is awesome, since we get to have the first gameplay here. And we're just looking to stay alive long enough to get Spore Mounds and Garrick Hordes online. And it looks like my opponent did keep a pretty hasty keep here. I'll play my own land. I'm going to attack him with the Advocate into a Briarpack Alpha or something, because I'd rather my opponent just use the Briarpack Alpha here. Now they can sensory deprive it. And yeah, that wasn't even part of the game plan. Next turn we'll have Spore Mound online. Lands will get us spores and such, and we're going to be in some good shape to start getting... ooh, that's nice too. To start making dreams come true. I'm going to attack in with the Advocate, negate anything if my opponent wants to get fancy. My opponent does not. Slamming this guy down. Alright, opponent has a full grip. Gonna start getting like a Battle Sliver or something online. Could get super scary, but hopefully these spores I'm going to be making will be able to keep races in check. Lightning Talons, okay. So my opponent might want to be trading 5 for 5 here. Not too sure that's grand. So my opponent does know I'm going to be having a lot of spores, but if my opponent's hand is clutch, then yeah, that could be a thing. Alright. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and make 2 spores while we bash in for 5 ourselves. I think getting the Spore Mounds online early is very good versus keeping like negate up or sensory depriving the predatory sliver. Because here we're just going to do chump blocks for days, basically. That's that game plan. One more land gets us a bunch more blockers, plus Garrick's Horde, which I do have to be careful. I might even want to wait till really late, like if my opponent's out of cards, or if, gosh, 9 mana, do I even get there? Because Garrick's Horde active treason can just be brutal. My opponent does have nice defense here. My opponent can choose not to be attacking with Predatory Sliver, and then if I attack him, my opponent just eats a creature anytime. Volcanic Geyser, okay. Yeah, so now if I attack, I'm only getting 4 points of damage in, while my opponent like has a Spore Mound. So it looks like sensory deprivation is going to have to go on this predatory sliver, bring it back down to a 2-2, so I can attack in with the Spore Mount and the Advocate. And I'm okay with that, especially because I don't really want to bring Garrick's Horde out, because I just get blown so far away if there is an active treason online. So, sensory deprive, keep some pressure up. Do I care if a Saproling gets eaten while I bash in for 5? 7... Yeah, I do. I really think the Saplings are going to be key to keeping my opponent from not attacking. So that was really great. Because now there might even be the option to be attacking in and having a Spore Mound or a Sapling or something eaten from my opponent. I'll pretty much negate anything that comes down, even the kind of lame enchantments over like an active treason. What is this, Battle Sliver? Okay, so that's a good card for sure because it gets the predatory sliver back in action. Baloth is also good because it'll start getting big enough to bash through. Let's just say I were to attack right now. Spore Mount and Advocate get eaten. My opponent takes 3 life down to 3. That's not satisfactory. So we will just go ahead and play the Rumbling Baloth. Keep negate up. Again, the only reason I'm not playing Garrick's Horde is because I really think that's how I lose, is with an active treason with Garrick's Horde. We're not going to attack here. We're just going to pass the turn, make our Baloth big. This might even draw out the active treason now, and then we'll play negate. I don't know how many active treasons my opponent's running, but once negate's gone, I will just go ahead and dump Garrett's Horde out. And my opponent at 6 does help us in this late game because we are able to put a lot of pressure out. Hunt the Weak. I do think that's relevant enough because this Roman Baloth is going to be key. Kind of worried. Again, I wanted that to be for active treason, but I mean that's a removal spell. And almost like a 2-for-1 because it makes this guy big. And Roman Baloth actually won't do a whole lot of damage against us because I'll have the Saproling token, so that'll be very nice. So I can attack in with the Baloth now. It'll at least trade for 1, and maybe I do a Giant Growth, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just for the Giant Growth, but then if I do that, I can attack in with Spore Mound and the Advocate as well, right? My opponent only has Shock up, which isn't going to do anything. I think I just attack in with everything, right? So my opponent has to block the Baloth and maybe like a Spore Mount. It has to block both, and then I have Giant Growth for my guys, and then what's worst case? No, I'm going to use a Giant Growth on one of my dudes to save it, and then my opponent takes 1, 2, is down to 1. I do think I like that. I really think I like that. Yeah, I'm going to get aggressive here. But then active training is 6, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I think I'm going to keep the Saprolings back, actually. My opponent has to know combat tricks are afoot. But if that's the case, my opponent is going to be forced in some blocks that aren't going to be particularly awesome. Okay, cool. So I can let the Roman Baloth trade with the Battle Sliver, and then I can Giant Growth the Spore Mound, or I can keep the Rumbling Baloth alive. I think I just want to keep the Spore Mound alive. 6. No, but then Shock blanks me, right? Yeah, I'm just going to play around Shock, because Shock would kill the Spore Mound whereas Shock does not kill the Rumbling Baloth, so this just keeps me to trade my Giant Growth for the Battle Sliver. I could have just done Giant Growth on the Advocate even, you know. But even this with an Active Treason does not kill me on the Crackback, especially with the Saprolines to be blocking, so I'm pretty okay here. My opponent has 5 cards in hand. There's a lot that can go down, but only 5 mana. What can my opponent have? I mean, Active Treason would be rough, but again, Saproling tokens are fine. Barrage and Active Treason would kill the Baloth and shoot my face, but I'll still have, not lethal in the Crackback, but it's still the pressure after I've gone down to 9, and then my opponents have follow-ups. But that does mean I'm not in a commanding position. Say, Barrage comes down, Active Treason, attack, chump, sacrifice. That's not going to be awesome. Okay, so my opponent just wants to do 2 against the Advocate. I'm cool with that. It's just looking to stay alive because it's going to chump block the Predatory Sliver, the Rumbling Baloth to Predatory Sliver. Or maybe my opponent has the combo in hand and is looking to cast it next turn. But we pretty much have the win here now. So we can attack with everything. Opponent has to block the Rumbling Baloth. Briarpack Alpha comes down to seal the deal. GG's. Alright, time for the finals.